Hey everyone! Today we're diving deep into XRP, and I've got some absolutely mind-blowing news to share with you. So buckle up because this is going to be huge. Okay, first things first, and this comes straight from Jungle Inc. BlackRock just dropped what I can only call a $1 trillion bomb at Ripple Swell. Are you sitting down? Because BlackRock executive Maxwell Stein just said something that should have every crypto investor paying attention. He said the global financial system is officially ready for large-scale blockchain adoption. But here's the kicker. He specifically mentioned that Ripple's infrastructure could soon be moving trillions on-chain. Trillions, guys. Even the Nasdaq CEO is backing this up, saying that once regulation hits, institutions are going to flood in like never before. What they're really telling us here is that the future of finance isn't some distant dream. It's literally being built right now, as we speak. Everything is coming on-chain, and the only thing we're waiting for, you guessed it, regulations. And this is exactly why I keep telling you all that we won't see full institutional adoption without proper regulations in place first. Now, speaking of BlackRock, let's talk about what Larry Fink said, because this is absolutely revolutionary. He said the entire global financial system will be on one blockchain.
But today there's about $4.1 trillion sitting in digital wallets, growing very rapidly. It has caught attention to people around the world. A lot of men and women who are actually fearful of keeping all their money in their currency or storing it in their country where they live. But beyond that, the opportunity for tokenization is probably the most important component of how we are going to see the evolution of the financial plumbing of the world. There's just too many middlemen in so many different areas. Jenny talked about it earlier, but there's just way too many middlemen in the process. And the reality is, if we could tokenize all our ETFs, all $5.3 trillion of our ETFs, and provide that in a digital wallet, you could seamlessly, without fees, going from a digital currency or a stable coin or whatever that may be in your digital wallet and buy bond or stocks. And I believe that is going to be the future. I do believe more transactions are going to be done digitally with authentication of ownership. Now, obviously, you know, should the whole financial system be on one blockchain? What does that mean? How do we protect ourselves? So there are obviously a lot of things we have to address to make that work. But I do see more and more of a future of having more and more financial assets being digitized, sitting in a singularity of a blockchain, and going from cash to stocks to bonds back and forth, doing that seamlessly. And I do believe that is going to happen.
Did you catch that? Larry Fink is basically telling us it's going to be one chain to rule them all. And honestly, that gives me chills every time I think about it. But here's another bombshell he dropped. They want to tokenize those ETFs. I've been saying this for months. The second those ETFs launch, they're eventually going to become tokenized assets on a blockchain. And guess what? That's exactly what he's working on right now. Here's where things get really interesting. The IMF director just confirmed something massive. The dollar will no longer be the world's reserve currency. Christina Georgieva came right out and said that while the US dollar has been the world's leading reserve currency for decades, global dynamics are evolving. You know what? I've always thought this would happen. I believe every country will eventually have their own digital currency, and we won't really need a single world reserve currency anymore. Instead, what we'll need is a world bridge currency, and that's exactly what XRP was built to be. Think about it. This would completely level the playing field for every single country. When they need to transact with other nations, they'd just use this global bridge currency. And I genuinely believe that's what Ripple set out to build when they created XRP. Here's proof that things are moving fast. Chris Lawson just announced he's proud to be an investor in Yellow as they integrate with the XRP Ledger EVM sidechain. And Yellow themselves said something incredible. They recently integrated with the XRP Ledger EVM sidechain specifically to unlock real-world asset liquidity across blockchains. Their off-chain high-speed clearing technology taps directly into XRP Ledger's secure EVM sidechain. Guys, it's project after project building on the XRP Ledger right now. We're seeing these announcements almost daily. But somehow, there are still people out there trying to convince you that the XRP Ledger is dead, that nothing's happening. That's completely ridiculous. The truth is, XRP was never meant for retail trading to begin with. It was built for something much bigger. Now let's talk about Bitcoin for a second, because I think this perspective is crucial.
Bitcoin said Bitcoin's all about time. You have to understand you're getting your time back. You know what's interesting about that is everything in the fiat system takes time. It's all about borrowing money for 20 years out. Well, if every day moves what used to be a year, then you're not borrowing money for the future because the future is completely unpredictable. So it doesn't happen. So eventually what goes on is the entire leverage in the fiat system has to come down. It has to. If the money's moving into stable coins, what's replacing, and this is going to get into something which I'm sure you've had charts of before, but you remember how back in the early 2000s, we would look at the money velocity chart and you had to get money velocity up.
Yeah.
Well, with AI agents, you know what's going to happen? The velocity of money is going to go through the roof.
Same with stable coins. Those two combined, a velocity.
That's what I mean, is that the AI agents will be trading stable coins so fast.
When it comes to Bitcoin, it really is about time. And honestly, time is running out. We're going to witness Bitcoin being pushed into irrelevance over the coming years. Here's why. Think about the rise of stablecoins, the rise of AI technology. When AI systems start paying other AI systems in crypto, do you really think they're going to use something slow and expensive? Of course not. They're going to use something that's lightning fast and dirt cheap. Why would an AI system choose to exchange money and value using Bitcoin? First of all, it takes up to 10 minutes for that transaction to go through. And on top of that, it's expensive as hell. They're going to choose something that's infinitely cheaper and faster. Here's what most people don't understand. Ripple is the first crypto software built on a completely different framework from Bitcoin. Every other crypto project out there was originally based on Bitcoin's system. But XRP, it's in a league of its own. That's why I'm so bullish on what we're seeing unfold right now. The institutional adoption, the regulatory clarity that's coming, the real-world partnerships. It's all pointing to one thing. XRP is positioned to become the backbone of the new global financial system. Now here's something that really blew my mind, and this comes straight from Smoke. Ripple isn't just important because of what it does. It's important because Ripple is literally the first alternative to Bitcoin that has a substantially different structure. Get this, until July 2013, all cryptocurrency software, with the exception of Ripple, was based on the open-source Bitcoin system. Think about that for a second. XRP was built from day one to be completely different from Bitcoin, and there's a really good reason for that. Bitcoin was essentially the test coin. It showed us what was possible, but it also showed us all the problems. XRP is what fixes every single one of those problems that they discovered with Bitcoin. Here's a bold prediction that's going to shake some people up. Crypto as we know it will be dead in a decade.
I do think that there is a theme that is happening right now that people have not yet wrapped their head around, which is this whole idea of crypto is going to be dead in a decade, right? People are not going to be talking about crypto. We're just going to talk about finance. Everything is now merging together. You have the crypto world and you've got the traditional finance world.
So crypto will be just so intertwined with the financial world that we won't even use the term?
We used to think about the internet, like internet finance, and then there's the finance industry.
Now it's
just finance. Same thing's going to happen with crypto, right? BlackRock, as an example, BlackRock could be described as a crypto company. Their most profitable product is their Bitcoin product. They're talking about tokenization all the time. Like, they are trying to adopt these new technologies. All of the big asset managers, they're trying to figure out, how do we play here? Do we actually have funds that invest in this space? Do we tokenize our funds? What do we do? And so over the next decade or so, crypto as a concept is going to be dead, and you're just going to hear people talk about finance. And I think that's a good thing. That's the maturation of the industry.
And you know what? He's absolutely right. The internet of value is being built out right now, and most cryptocurrencies are going to be completely dead within the next couple of years. You're not going to see those major run-ups on Bitcoin like we're seeing right now. Everyone keeps looking ahead to 2028, and every time Bitcoin dumps, what do they say? Well, looks like this cycle's over for Bitcoin. See you all in 2028. But here's the thing. Utility is going to change that 4-year cycle forever. If you're holding a cryptocurrency that doesn't solve a real-world problem, or that isn't actually fixing our current broken system, that cryptocurrency is most likely going to be completely irrelevant going forward. But here's another prediction that's even more interesting. People aren't going to be talking about crypto anymore. They're just going to be talking about finance. Once we hit mass adoption, the word crypto probably won't even be used the way it is today. We're talking about a complete transformation from our current system into an entirely new financial system. With this new system in place, everyone's going to be talking about digital dollars and seamless transactions. Sure, you might have some crypto investors still discussing passive income from their holdings, but mainstream society, they'll just be talking about finance on a daily basis. Here's your regulatory North Star reminder. XRP is the only digital asset with regulatory clarity before legislation even hits. This is huge, guys. I've got a great clip from Brad Garlinghouse here, and I normally hate playing full clips on this channel, but this one is absolutely essential. They talk about exactly what Ripple did during the crypto crackdown.
A panel about 2-3 years ago when you're in the middle of your lawsuit. And the moderator asked something that even I hadn't put together. He said that 19 out of the top 20 protocols in blockchain were physically located outside of the United States of America. And you were the only one, still idiot, to be in the United States and being sued.
I mean, obviously, I don't think we're an idiot, but I mean, there was a period of time, there was a sad reality, and I'm sure, like, Pantera has been one of the most successful investors in crypto land, but the advice I used to give some of the entrepreneurs you backed was, don't incorporate in the United States. And it's not because we're trying to circumvent. I mean, again, you had, I'm quoting Gary Gensler. By the way, now you're getting me riled up. Like, I get all fired up about this. You had Gary Gensler out there pontificating about how the crypto is the Wild West. That is the furthest thing from the truth. Like, the people I knew were trying to give us clear rules, help us understand those rules, and don't just sue us without actually providing that guidance. And so, it took a while, but we're finally in a happier place. And, Ripple was fortunate to be in a position where we could fight the fight. We did think about just moving to offshore and kind of saying, to hell with our U.S. business. For 4 years, we were still based in the U.S., but during those 4 years, we basically didn't sign any contracts in the U.S., and we signed, scores of contracts with financial institutions overseas. Now, the U.S. is still the regulatory North Star for many Western economies, and so they look to the U.S., and so it hurt our business across Europe, less so in Southeast Asia and the Middle East, but it was a tough years.
It was, and actually, I wanted to point out for the audience that the U.S. government's stance on blockchain is literally the polar opposite of the rest of the protocols that we call the internet, right?
Yeah.
The U.S. government literally built ARPANET and gave all kinds of safe harbors.
Al Gore invented it.
Yeah, Al Gore invented it. That was nice of him. But they gave, safe harbors in Congress, 8.25% discount for Amazon versus a real bookstore with, bricks and mortar. And all of the biggest internet companies in the free world are in the U.S., and they were scaring all the protocols out of the U.S.
Again, you're preaching to the choir on this one. I still think they're going to be. This, to me, does represent the future of rewiring financial infrastructure. It's cheaper, it's faster, it's more auditable. Like those are all things that the government should care about, and it's good for consumers, it's good for businesses, it's good for growing the economy. Why we had a period of time that the U.S. government was anti these technologies makes no sense to me. But we're past it, and so we're entrepreneurs that build for the future. So
in building, you're doing a lot of M&A work. Could you share some of your thoughts on that?
So we decided kind of at the end of last year, beginning of this year, that there's a moment in time we thought Ripple was in an advantageous position. We were going to play offense with acquisitions. We've announced, I think, 3 acquisitions this year, the biggest of which was the largest non-bank prime broker called Hidden Road. Now, the Hidden Road does crypto and non-crypto activity, but if you want, I'm going to use generically, if you want the Citadels of the world to lean in and participate, you need counterparties and prime brokers that actually can service Citadel's needs. If you don't have those, then the Citadels of the world can't lean in at the scale. And Hidden Road was doing quite well, but their balance sheet, relatively speaking, was small to service some of the biggest, the Jane Streets, some of the biggest players out there. Ripple has a big balance sheet, and since announcing that acquisition in, I think, May, we basically 3x their revenue run rate, which they were already doing quite well and profitable. And we're serving some of the larger customers, serving customers that already were more broadly, so that's going really well. We bought Rail, which is one of the largest stablecoin payments companies, kind of based out of Toronto. That was a deal we just announced in August, and we're working on a couple more right now. So great, been a busy year on that front.
Did you catch what Brad said at the end there? You can expect more acquisitions coming from Ripple in the short term. But the real reason I wanted to show you that clip is this. Back in 2022, 2023, and for a good part of 2024, I kept talking about all the incredible growth happening outside the United States. Notice how Brad pointed out that even in Europe, they struggled to get adoption at first. But here's the key. If Ripple hadn't moved outside the United States, they would never have achieved the growth and infrastructure they have today. He also highlighted the strength of Ripple's balance sheet, which is absolutely crucial. This is why I don't think we're going to see an IPO in the short term. I know everyone's pushing that narrative right now. Just wait until they do the IPO. XRP is going to skyrocket to $25 plus. I see these predictions all day long. Honestly, I don't think that's going to happen until maybe 2027, and who knows, it might not even happen by then. But what I really wanted you to see in that clip is that Brad fought for the entire crypto space. Some people recognize this, others refuse to see it, but those are just the facts. Now we have clarity for XRP, and that's going to be absolutely game-changing going forward. I think that's exactly why we're already seeing all this massive demand around XRP ETFs. It's because of that regulatory clarity. And here's something that might surprise you. We still haven't seen XRP fully recover from the Ripple versus SEC case. In my opinion, we're still on the road to recovery when it comes to XRP. The best is yet to come. But like I always tell you, until it actually happens, stay patient. The fundamentals are stronger than ever. The regulatory clarity is there, and the institutional adoption is building. We're witnessing history in the making. What do you think about these developments? Are you as bullish on XRP's future as I am? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to stay updated on all the latest XRP news and analysis.